Here are some random observations about the design and features of different camcorders, because as you can see, I have a lot of them. First thing is stability when you have the camcorder sitting like that, as you might use it to record if you don't have a tripod. First is this Canon FS200. It's the camcorder I use most often. And when you open up the LCD, it's perfectly stable. So it's very convenient to just rest it on any flat surface and you can record. Next is this JVC GZ MS230. It's the camcorder I use next most often. And even just sitting closed, you can see it's a little bit tipsy. And when you open up the LCD, you can see it's resting on the edge of the LCD. And if I open it up like that, it gets even worse. So this is a very unstable design. I don't know why they couldn't balance it better than that. Here's a Sony DCR SX65. It's okay when it's resting like that. When you open up the LCD, if you leave it exactly vertical, it's fine. But if you tilt it a little bit, you can see it tilts over a little bit. Not as much as the JVC, but still a little bit. So, and then we have this Panasonic SDR H101. Now this is a hard drive camcorder, so it has a 1.8 inch hard drive in this space here, which makes it a very stable design. See, it's perfectly steady, just resting like that. So that's a good design. And here is a DXG 5K1V, a Chinese HD camcorder. Again, a stable design. So I don't know why a no-name Chinese company could make a camcorder that can rest like that and record, but JVC couldn't. And then you have these little pocket camcorders. Very convenient to hold in your hand and record, but what happens when you want to rest it down and record like that? Now this Panasonic HM-TA2 can rest standing like that, but it's very unstable. I would not trust it. Just a little breeze of wind and it would knock over, so not a good design. And this Philips Cam 110 can't rest on its bottom like that at all. So that doesn't work. But then you have this little Kodak ZE-1. Not only can it rest like that, it can rest on its side too. And even upside down, because all four sides are completely flat. So that's an excellent design. And even this Sony DCR PC55, even though it's a vertical layout camcorder, it can rest like that. Most of these cannot do that. Like Sanyo made a lot of Exacti camcorders in this style, and they just flop over because the body is too thin. It doesn't support the weight. But this one does. It tilts a little bit, but not much. And there's also one thing on this that you don't get on most of these other camcorders, is a tally light to let you know when you're recording. A little red light that goes on when it's recording. The only other camcorder out of all these that has that feature is this little Kodak. See, it's normally a power LED. If I record, you can see it starts flashing. And it's on the side, but it's just barely visible from the front. There's a little bit of an edge to it that can be seen from the front. And would you believe this little thing supports a remote control, but they put the sensor for it on the bottom. So if you have it standing like that and you want to record, you can do it, but you have to be very close. See there, it started recording. But any more distance away, there's not enough IR light getting into that sensor. But if you hold it like that, it works fine. Another interesting thing is accessibility of various features of the camcorder when you have it on a tripod. This is the shoe for my tripod. And if I put it on this Sony, you can see I can still get to the battery, but it covers up the door where you put the SD card or memory stick. Same thing with the JVC. You can still get to the battery, but you can't get to the door where the SD cards go. This Canon here, at least with this particular shoe, you can still open up the door, not all the way, but it's just barely enough to get the SD card out and the battery. So if you have a bigger shoe, it probably won't work. And this Panasonic here, you can get to the battery and they put the SD card on the side, so that's no problem at all. So that's a good design. But even on these little pocket-sized camcorders, like this Panasonic, they put the SD card slot right next to the tripod mount. So if you have it on the tripod, you can't swap the card. This one, only thing on the bottom is the USB arm, which you probably won't need when it's on the tripod. The SD card slot is on the side. Same thing with the Kodak. SD card slot is on the side. But they also put the speaker on the bottom, which is kind of silly. So those are just some random observations about the design of different camcorders I have. This is mostly just an excuse to have something to test this new Sony Mini DV Handycam I just got. It's a DCR HC62 from 2008, and also something to use up the last few minutes of tape, which actually just ran out, so I'm recording this last part directly through FireWire onto my MacBook. And in case you're wondering how I'm attaching this to the tripod, since I have the tripod shoe in my hand, well, it's not. The only thing holding it on the tripod is gravity, so luckily it has not gone crashing to the floor.